He won the match by countout and celebrated like he won the title. He won the match by countout and still celebrated like he won the title. Lex Luger is a fucking doofus. I'm John Ritlin with a retro review of WWE SummerSlam 1993. One of the worst decisions ever to close a show. I mean, one of the worst main event endings. I mean, my fucking God, especially in SummerSlam history, but at least in the Big Four, that's got to be right up there. Now, there's a lot to unpack with that one, and I'll get to that a little bit later, but he won the match by countout and celebrated like he won the title. And even half the crowd's like, what the fuck is this guy celebrating for? Sure, he won, but why is he celebrating like he just won the goddamn presidency? I mean, good fucking God. So we started with the Lex Express. And Vince only said that about 300 times during the intro. And, you know, when he was talking with Bobby Heenan. This pay-per-view should have been so much better than it was because Hulk Hogan had left. He'd gone to Japan, then asked to be let out of his contract because he wanted to go to Hollywood, Thunder in Paradise, and a whole bunch of other shit that he did. Because he didn't want to put over Brett at SummerSlam because that would have made too much goddamn sense. In retrospect, what they should have done is Hogan should not have won the championship at Mania 9, leading to probably the worst ending to a Mania in history, or at least right up there. And then they should have had Yoko lose to Lex here at SummerSlam because the way they were going with it, my fucking God, he won by countout and celebrated like he won the championship. Fuck! Anyway, Vince and Heenan on commentary. We start with Razor Ramon versus Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase's last WWE pay-per-view match. I think he went to All Japan for a little bit. He was back on commentary by the 94 Rumble because I think he finished up his career and I think he had neck and back issues and stuff like that, so he didn't wrestle anymore, but he did manage. The match is fine. There were a few rest holds, but then again, Ted DiBiase was at the end of his career, as I said, and he could only do so much by this point, and it was a warm-up match. It was fine. Razor's Edge. Very soft Razor's Edge, by the way, because sometimes he wouldn't lay it in like he would try to hurt somebody, but he would lay it in like, okay, this guy can take it. Razor took more impact on his goddamn knees, landing like he did, and no, that's not a euphemism, than Ted took, like, you know, on his back or neck or anything. It must have felt like he landed on a soft blanket, because Razor took all the impact. Man, anyway, 1, 2, 3, and Razor wins to fire up the crowd to begin with. And Todd Pettengill talks to Steiner's mother and sister. And then we get the Steiner Brothers versus the Heavenly Bodies, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey with Jim Cornette. Not the only appearance of Jim Cornette. WWE Tag Team Championship match. This was pretty good. I was never the biggest Heavenly Bodies fan, and this is going to probably get, you know, people all riled up. I was never the biggest Smoky Mountain Wrestling fan. Now, I appreciate it, but I also didn't get it on my TV at the time. I had to catch it either when people sent me tapes or when it was on, or like, you know, if I just happened to get some weird syndication, I just happened to see it late at night, but it's like I barely, if ever, saw it, so I mostly saw it years later. And I appreciated what they were trying to do. They were doing a, you know, Southern Regional Territory. It just didn't speak to me. That being said, there were some good talents. And I think the Heavenly Bodies were decent. And this is actually one of the better matches I saw them have. And they attacked Rick, attacked Scott. That glorious mullet that Scott Steiner had. It was well-paced. At one point, Jim Cornette's racket gets used, but nope, that doesn't get the victory. And then Frankensteiner, I believe, to Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey. And there we go, 1, 2, 3. The Steiner Brothers retain the Tag Team Championships, and then lose them soon after to the Quebecers, and then leave soon after the 94 Rumble. Because if you remember, they were there, and then they weren't there by Mania 10, so they left pretty soon after. And then we get Shawn Michaels and Diesel with a promo backstage. Joe something or other, I didn't actually catch the guy's name. He was fine, but I don't remember him being in the company all that long. Of course, Diesel adjusts his glove, tears quad, and they are hyping up the match that Shawn's going to have with Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this match had its moments and was good, and yes, had some good psychology. Perfect focusing on the arm, and Shawn Michaels focusing on the previously injured back of Mr. Perfect, which actually caused him to leave, in-ring competition for a while after SummerSlam 91. And Perfect wanted to go to be a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. And The match was good for what it was, but the count-out finish was kind of dodgy. Like, they had to do a stupid ref distraction so Diesel could pull him outside. And then they did a bunch of weird, like stuff outside where, Sean goes to hit Perfect, but Perfect dodges. But then, Perfect basically ends up getting counted out at some point. It wasn't a very good finish. Now, Perfect was basically protected. He wouldn't really compete much more. He would, manage and do commentary and stuff like that, but his back was really starting to hurt him. Now, the match was good until the dodgy finish, and Sean retained, so it was what it was. And then Perfect, gets upset, after Diesel had brutally fisted him, and then we get Perfect running back, so we're going to get a rematch at some point, maybe. I think we get it on TV. IRS versus the 1-2-3 Kid. IRS talks about Detroit being the Motor City and now being the city of tax cheats. Oh boy! He was a prophet, and I'm not talking about the money kind. Match was okay. It was a bit awkward at times because at this point, Mike Rotunda, IRS, working with a high flyer wasn't necessarily great. He had more years behind him than he had in front of him. That's not to say he still couldn't go in the ring, but, Sean Waltman, 1-2-3 Kid, would have a much better match against Hakushi at SummerSlam 95. I actually retro-reviewed that. That one at least had a pretty good opener. Big clothesline, 1-2-3, IRS gets a victory. Owen and Bruce then talk about Stu having surgery, some kind of knee surgery, and also how Brett is going to beat up Jerry Lawler. Weird how Owen was putting over Brett here, and then by the following SummerSlam would be competing against Brett for the WWE Championship inside a steel cage. That did not main event SummerSlam 94. Undertaker versus Undertaker, a.k.a. Primetime Brian Lee, was the main event. Yep. Undertaker versus Undertaker was the main event. Anyway, so Brett versus Doink, because Lawler came out on crutches because he ran away from a high school and the cops caught him and then he busted his leg. That's how it works. That's clearly how it works. That's obviously how Lawler would hurt himself. He was actually faking it. Doink, Matt Osborne comes out here and he takes Lawler's place. Some decent action and everything. Lawler does get in at one point and hits Brett with the crutch really stupidly, like right in the goddamn face. Because Lawler, while he was apparently, a great wrestler in his era and in his area, he wasn't very good overall. Sorry, he wasn't. I never really cared for Jerry Lawler. There are people that did, and if you were watching and you care for Jerry Lawler, that's fine. I never did. A lot of, piece of shit things that he did. Whether that thing in 93 was true or not, the guy's kind of a piece of shit. Moving on, though. Brett kept taunting Lawler during this match, and this was before the DQ. One funny line before that happened, before that whole DQ thing happened. Heenan's talking about, how Stu and Helen never filed for divorce? You know why? And he says because nobody wanted custody of the stupid kids. Even at that point, when Heenan was not checked out but was going to leave the company soon, he still was getting off some great lines. So after the DQ, President Jack Tunney, in one of the last appearances that he had, at least as far as like coming out, not doing not like just doing it on camera and like, a pre-taped on camera, like, him coming out and actually confronting a wrestler, said to Lawler, oh, your leg's fine, you're getting in the ring. And basically Lawler, used ref distractions on the crutch and stuff like that and everything, old territorial stuff where there are things I like about territorial wrestling. Lawler was not one of them. He was very much somebody that did not translate to a worldwide stage, in my personal opinion. This is also partly because they had a working relationship with what was left of the Memphis territory. And Brett gets a sharpshooter on, and at first Lawler gives up. But then Brett will not relent because Lawler kept making fun of his parents and his brothers and everything and all that. And the referee eventually reversed his decision. So here's the problem. The crowd started booing. Now Brett, it was a whole King of the Ring thing. Who's the undisputed King of the Ring? And Brett was just pissed. Bruce and Owen were trying to lay out Jerry Lawler, who was on the stretcher. They were trying to beat him up. So, hey, at least it ended with Lawler getting the shit beat out of him, which is always a good thing, because that's what should happen to that hack. I mean, honestly. So, Ludwig Borga is around some broken building. Ludwig Borga with the hidden Nazi tattoo that apparently was not all that hidden. I'm sorry, but you cannot excuse having a Nazi tattoo of any, especially even, at any point after WW2. Fucking come on. And the guy also was a piece of shit worker. I mean, he was apparently not a very nice guy, according to a lot of people. You could tell he couldn't fucking work at all. He faced Mario Jannetty, who probably was just fresh off of killing somebody else behind a bowling alley, if that story is to be true, allegedly. This match was not very good. Mario Jannetty had just come off of having the Intercontinental Championship for a little bit, and Ludwig Borga beat him with a torture rack variation because Ludwig Borga was going to feud with Lex Luger. That's hard to say. Ludwig Luger, there we go. They should have fused them together. Maybe we would have had about, 2% charisma. Then the 2% would have come from Lex. Yeah, I'm saying somebody has less charisma than Luger. That's how you know I hate Ludwig Borga. And yeah, he used the torture rack thing, and then we get Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez rest in peace match, because apparently we learned nothing from Mania 9. Look, Giant Gonzalez apparently was a really nice guy. He did not ever need to be in wrestling. At all. WCW, it was fucking rotten, and apparently he made a lot of money. Apparently he was really good with kids. He was really good to his home country. Well, at least, home city. He was a really, really nice guy, and good on him for trying. But I know he had health issues. That's why he had such a short career. But he also wasn't very good. And my God, this match was rotten. Harvey Whippleman also, I feel like I need to pressure wash myself every time I see this scuzz bucket here. I don't know if you can tell, guys, I really didn't like this pay-per-view very much. And Paul Bearer shows up with a wreath, proving you reap what you sow. Letting that sit there for a second. I can hear people just clicking off right now. So, top rope clothesline, 1, 2, 3. Undertaker wins, thank fucking Christ. And then Gonzalez attacks Whippleman afterwards, and he would be gone from the company, I think, by the end of October. Then we get Smoking Guns and Tatanka versus the Headshrinkers, Bam Bam Bigelow. Cowboys and Indians teaming up. It's better than Cowboys and Aliens, which isn't really much of a stretch. But anyway, dreaded roll-up, most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. Surprise roll-up, 1, 2, 3, Tatanka, scalping his way to victory. So there we go. Hooray! That's exactly what we need to do. Let's just get Tatanka with a victory. He would then lose his undefeated streak to Ludwig Borga. Then interview with Luger's bus driver, if that's what you want to call him. The guy sounded like he wanted to literally be anywhere else. But then again, driving Lex Luger around for a couple months, I'd want to be anywhere else as well. Japanese national anthem. It sounded like the guy was doing karaoke. It's not that the guy probably doesn't appreciate, and isn't trying to honor Japan, but he was not a very good singer. I'm not a very good singer either, and that's why I will never get on TV or even on this camera and try to sing stuff. And then Randy Savage comes out with Aaron Neville. Randy Savage defended the WWF Championship against Ultimate Warrior. Queering doesn't make the world work, Ultimate Warrior. Fuck Ultimate Warrior, I'm glad he's dead. And yeah, Randy Savage defended the championship against him the year before, and now is the Master of Ceremonies here. Yeah, that's what they were using Savage for. Fucking ridiculous. Well, legend has it that Aaron Neville's anthem is still going to this day. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette versus Lex Luger. WWE Championship match. Luger has to win the championship or he will not get another shot. Everything was built up from, the whole slamming on the USS Intrepid, Lex Express, all the promos, all the packages and everything was leading to Luger becoming the champion. Now, I am not a fan of Lex Luger at all, renowned, man who contributed, he contributed to the death of Miss Elizabeth, however, little he certainly did, and he will rot in hell for that. And also, he never deserved a lot of the main event runs that he got. That being said, for a while, at least from 88, I would argue, till 91, he was pretty damn good. 88 to 90 especially. And he made the U.S. Championship matter. He really was getting it. But they had built all this up. Now, even if rumor has it rather that half the locker room was going to walk out if Luger was made the champion. Now, if that's to be believed, and that's just always been rumor and innuendo, if that's to be believed, then okay, I can understand why Vince maybe just pulled back on that and said, I'm going to push this to Mania 10. Really, whatever story you believe, honestly, Vince should have just said, I got you guys under contract, you can't do anything, And he would have, even though they're independent contractors, and just had Lex win the championship. The locker room wanted Bret to win the championship, which was the right call, especially after all that bullshit with Mania 9 and the fact that Bret was feuding with Lawler when he was well above Lawler. Even during his early Calgary days, Bret was always way better than Jerry Lawler could be on his best day. Love the feud with Andy Kaufman, though, mainly because Andy made it work. Now, they could have just had Lex win and say drop it to Bret or drop it back to Yoko at Survivor Series. And then you could have had Bret versus Yoko at Mania 10. You would have gotten the pop and you would have done something. Nope. What did they do? They had a match that wasn't very good. Yoko trying to work a long match was not a very good idea, even at this stage, when he was only wrestling for a few years. Because he wrestled in the dying days of the AWA. And then they had all these wrestles and all this bullshit and everything. Fuji was down. He hit Yoko with the loaded forearm because he had that from this motorcycle accident. And count out victory. They counted it out. And then he celebrated. Balloons, confetti, all this shit's falling. Lex Luger has accomplished the impossible. Vince, he won by countout. Fans were, even as at 12 years old, when I was watching this on pay-per-view at a friend's house, I'm watching, I'm like, he didn't, what, my friend, it's like my friend's uncle who ordered the pay-per-view, he's like, did he win the championship? I go, no, he didn't. Even my friend was like, no, he didn't. At 12 years old, we're realizing this, so and half the crowd's like, what the fuck is he celebrating? Like, sure, we like Luger, but now it just killed him dead. They didn't want to see him win the championship after that. Say they got to, Mania, or not to Mania, but they got to the 94 Rumble. Well, guess what happened? Vince, all of a sudden, has both Bret and Luger win the Royal Rumble, and then does, okay, which one do you want to see? Luger or Bret? Luger's music plays, boos. Bret's music plays, heavy cheers. Luger got some cheers, but he mostly got boos. They had cooled off to him by that point. Vince McMahon should have just given him the championship. It's a stop-start thing with Lex, and it didn't fucking work. He was never going to be the next Hulk Hogan. 100%. Hogan, for all his faults and all his racism and all the fact that he basically wants to fuck Brooke, that's why he married somebody that looks like an older version of Brooke and is unrelated to him. Moving on. He had a ton of charisma. He made it work. Luger just never did. I'm not saying he had none. I'm just saying he didn't have a lot. And also, he contributed to the death of Liz. So, this fucking celebrated like he won the goddamn championship. And he won by countout. Oh, and then Ludwig Borga confronts him backstage. That's how you kill somebody off right there. You have him. You have your main event guy go to a mid-card feud against a guy with a hidden Nazi tattoo. Great job, Vince. This pay-per-view is fucking stupid. I can't even fucking talk anymore. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.